Hello, mates. Saul here. Why the British accent, you might ask? Well, because today we're going to be talking about a British individual. But as today is not a good day, it's a somber day. Today I woke up and learned some really upsetting news. One of my favorite actresses, Miss Hayden Panettierre, passed away tragically at a very young age. I was actually shocked to find how close to my own age she was. Hayden Panettierre, for many of you who know who she is, she was the cheerleader in the super awesome early 2000s show Heroes. For a lot of us Gen Y people who grew up watching that show. I don't know about you, but I looked forward to seeing it every day after school. I was hooked on that. That show was awesome. And she was the focal point of the show. Save the cheerleader, save the world. Well, today, my fellow Americans, is about that cheerleader. This video is about what we're going to do to save that cheerleader. It's too late to save her physically, but we can save other women like her who have been through the same things, who are going through the same things, and might still go through the same things. Now, when I first read the story, I was thinking, well, one, she was young. That's odd. Why? And it turns out there's not really much on it right now. Now, maybe that's because usually there's a window between periods after demise and autopsy. And right now that's probably what's going on. Looking for any signs of foul play. This actually kind of hits home for me. I was almost unalived myself several years ago. And it was after exposing somebody. Who I exposed wasn't a celebrity by any means. But this stuff happens. It really happens. Even in the lowest levels, even in the smallest towns, it happens. So you can bet 100% that what Miss Panettiere said was true. When she wrote her memoirs, coincidentally just not too long ago, she mentioned a lot of things she went through. And I'm going to buy that book. I want to find out. I'm going to read it. I want to know what happened to her. I want to know her story. Because sometimes when you go through something so bad and you know your end is near, and you know no one believes you and no one's going to hear your story, you write a memoir. You want someone to know. She wanted someone to know. Now, I did a little bit of research, what I could. There's about maybe between 6 and 10 possible individuals. And she didn't name names, but there aren't too many British celebrities who were in their 30s in the early 2000s. And around 2010, yeah, there weren't too many. So, Hayden Panettierre was supposedly struggling with addiction. Maybe she was. She was definitely struggling with depression. Who can blame her? I mean, I have someone close to me who was a victim of childhood abuse. I've seen what it does to a person, and it changes them forever. And it changed her forever. I didn't know it. A lot of people didn't know it. I just knew her as that girl that I had a crush on as a teenager, not even realizing she was about the same age as me. I loved that show. I loved her character. powerful, strong, brave young woman. I admired that. That was the kind of woman I was looking for. And to find out that behind that mask, behind that character, was a very traumatized young woman who was going through something really terrible and felt so alone in the world. And now she's gone. We need to find out why. We need to dig deep, people. We need to stop letting this stuff happen. We know they're out there. We know who they are. And we can live in denial all we want and pretend it's not happening. But we know it is. When I was a little boy growing up, we had this neighbor. I could never go outside and play. My parents were always scared. And I remember one time being outside in the front yard when my dad was mowing the lawn. And he stopped and he went inside for a minute to get a drink of water. And to this day, sometimes I tell myself I was just hearing things, but I could swear I heard a little girl screaming in that guy's garage. The guy was known by the whole neighborhood. The FBI would come and nab him. He'd be back a few months later. He'd sit out on a reclining chair, a fold-out chair, in his driveway. Any kids that walked by, he'd try to get them to come up to him. He did the same with me, but I knew better. My parents had taught me about the whole stranger danger thing. Sadly, we seem to live in a world where you have to live by that even as an adult. That's supposed to be just for kids. It's supposed to just to teach kids basic safety. But now we live in a world where even as adults we have to live like that. Now, I don't know about you, but I am willing to bet Miss Panettiere did not take her life. And I am absolutely willing to bet that it was foul play. And I am absolutely willing to bet that it will be buried. Not only hidden, but buried under a whole bunch of other news and celebrity gossip and stories until people forget. Like everything else. Like people are starting to dismiss the Epstein files when we should be wondering why the president replaced the head of the DOJ just as they were about to release them. Anyone else suspect that maybe he replaced him with one of his own who promised him, "Oh, don't worry, Donnie, I won't tell anybody what you did to those little girls"? We know. We're awake. And our eyes are wide open. You can claim to be woke with one eye shut. But if you choose to deny realities like this, then that makes you an accessory. Because you're condoning it. You're letting it happen. You're enabling the individuals and you're empowering them by letting them get away with it. We need to rise, people. There is a time to display with action the consequences of doing these evil things. We can be spineless and just talk about it and yap, 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 while those who are evil act, or we can act. It's your choice. Dig deep. Don't be satisfied with what you find. Always dig deeper. Question everything. That's what makes you smart. That's what builds intellect. That's what makes that brain muscle strong. We owe it to Miss Panettiere and women like her. You gotta think what she went through on that yacht when she was 18, that is just the tip of the iceberg. That's literally just a snowflake on Mount Everest. The whole mountain His body's deep, and we cannot even fathom how many women were probably tossed overboard or buried on an island out in the middle of the ocean without a voice, without anyone to tell their story. Let's not take this lightly, people. It's time to get out the pitchforks and torches and go after the monsters. Rest in peace, Hayden Panettierre. May you finally be free of your pain.